Imagine for a moment a small-town Texan girl in the mid-20th century growing up with dreams that outshone the wide-open sky of her childhood surroundings. That image perfectly encapsulates Sandy Duncan, born Sandra K. Duncan on February 20th, 1946, in Henderson, Texas, whose journey from modest origins to Broadway prominence, television stardom, and pop culture icon is as fascinating as it is inspirational. Raised primarily in Tyler, Texas, alongside her younger sister Robin, Sandy spent her earliest years immersed in the warmth of a family life headed by her father, Mansell Ray Duncan, and her mother, Sylvia. While her father ran a gas station and her mother looked after the household, Sandy's imagination was set on an entirely different world. Even as a young girl, she sensed that her destiny would involve bright lights, applause, and the thrill of performance. She reveled in the melodies of Rodgers and Hammerstein or Meredith Willson, performing bits of The King and I or The Music Man, and discovering the intoxicating blend of discipline and creativity that came with musical theater. By the time she entered her teen years, Sandy was determined to push further. She put aside any concerns about whether such ambitions were practical, especially for a girl in a place not exactly known as a theatrical hub, and instead spent hours honing her craft. High school led to Lon Morris Junior College, still within Texas, but the pull of New York City was already beckoning. After finishing her studies at Lon Morris, she took a daring leap of faith by packing her bags and heading off to the Big Apple. One major milestone occurred when she joined the cast of Your Own Thing, an off-Broadway rock musical adaptation of Shakespeare's Twelfth Night. Produced in the late 1960s, Your Own Thing epitomized the counterculture spirit of the era, mixing Shakespeare's comedic elements with groovy modern tunes. It was in that production that she met singer-actor Bruce Scott, who would become her first husband in September 1968. That union was emblematic of the young and in love showbiz lifestyle. Two hopefuls, fresh in New York, brimming with excitement. But the romance did not last. By October 1972, Sandy and Bruce had divorced. Though this chapter closed, it hardly deterred her from pressing on with her career. She landed a role in the musical adaptation of Chaucer's Canterbury Tales, performed on Broadway in 1969, and that performance snagged her a Tony Award nomination. This was an incredible feat for someone so early in her professional journey. Broadway critics and audiences were struck by her contagious energy and near effortless ability to light up the stage. This newfound acclaim soon led to a second Tony nomination when she took on the role of Maisie in The Boyfriend. Originally starring Judy Carn, The Boyfriend introduced Sandy's comedic flair to a broader audience, and she ended up stealing the spotlight to such an extent that critics and fans alike talked of her as an exciting, versatile newcomer. The Tony Awards recognized her a second time, this time in the category of Best Actress in a Musical. All signs pointed toward a flourishing stage career. Media outlets, including Time magazine, joined the chorus, declaring her the most promising face of tomorrow in 1970. As is often the case for young Broadway standouts, Hollywood soon came knocking. Walt Disney Productions, always on the lookout for fresh-faced talent with a wholesome image, invited Sandy to appear in The $1 Million Duck, 1971, a family-friendly comedy about a duck that begins laying golden eggs. This experience introduced Sandy to a new audience, children and families who would come to recognize her bright-eyed style. She also began to appear in various TV commercials, ideal for someone with her engaging presence and winning smile. Televisions across America started featuring Sandy's face in advertisements, and it was only a matter of time before networks decided to build a sitcom around her. CBS took the lead, developing a show called Funny Face that premiered in 1971. starring Sandy as Sandy Stockton, a plucky Midwestern girl who ventures to Los Angeles to study for a teaching degree. Funny Face quickly became a top 10 hit. Audiences seemed to respond to Sandy's ability to combine comedic timing, relatable warmth, and a dash of star quality. But life is unpredictable. While filming Funny Face, Sandy began suffering from intense headaches. Medical tests revealed a tumor on her left optic nerve, a condition that demanded immediate delicate surgery. There was a significant risk of losing her eyesight entirely, or worse. Forced to prioritize her health, Sandy stepped away from the show to undergo the operation. With their star sidelined, CBS pulled Funny Face off the air. This abrupt disappearance caused some viewers to assume the series had been canceled for low ratings, but the truth was more pressing and far more personal. Sandy was fighting for her life. The surgery ultimately preserved her left eye, but she lost vision in it. Because the eye still tracked alongside her right one, and because a prosthetic eye would have involved additional complexities, doctors opted to leave her natural eye in place. She emerged from the ordeal half-blind, but her spirit remained intact, a testament to the resilience she would display time and again. Attempting to recapture the success of Funny Face brought Sandy back in 1972 with a revamped sitcom called The Sandy Duncan Show. However, the momentum gained by Funny Face had evaporated during her forced absence, and ratings didn't meet expectations. The show ended in December 1972. Around the same time, her marriage to Bruce Scott had just ended, and in 1973 she married Dr. Thomas Calcaterra, a consulting surgeon who had been involved in her brain surgery. Love born in the midst of a health crisis didn't necessarily guarantee stability, and by 1979, that second marriage dissolved as well. Sandy later attributed the breakup partly to her refusal to abandon her career to play the role of a stay-at-home doctor's wife. Despite personal setbacks, her professional life saw a triumphant pivot in the late 1970s. She was cast in what many consider her signature role, Peter Pan, in J.M. Barrie's beloved musical. Although Mary Martin had famously starred as the titular character decades earlier, Sandy's version, first staged on Broadway in 1979, took audiences by storm. Critics admired her comedic sparkle, her graceful dancing, and the sheer joy she exuded while flying across the stage in green tights. Children who saw her performance came away starry-eyed, while adults praised her for injecting the classic tale with renewed vitality. This role led to her third Tony nomination, once again for Best Actress in a Musical. There was an undeniable enchantment in seeing her embody a boy who refused to grow up, an echo, perhaps, of her own childlike exuberance and refusal to let life's challenges dim her spirit. Her collaborations with Disney continued, and in 1978 she starred in The Cat from Outer Space, a lighthearted sci-fi romp featuring Ken Berry. By 1981, her voice talents graced Disney's animated feature The Fox and the Hound, in which she portrayed Vixie, a kindly and nurturing fox character. She joined a voice cast that included big names such as Mickey Rooney, Kurt Russell, and Pearl Bailey. It was yet another indication of her versatility, capable of musicals, sitcoms, live-action comedy, drama, and animated voice roles. Given her cheerful demeanor, it might have surprised some that in 1977 she explored more serious territory, taking on an Emmy-nominated part in the groundbreaking miniseries Roots. This powerful series traced multiple generations of an African-American family, beginning with Kunta Kinte's abduction from Africa. Roots reshaped American television by confronting the horrors and legacies of slavery. Sandy's involvement showcased her openness to roles beyond her trademark bubbly persona. Even so, comedic and family-friendly fare remained her primary domain, and in the 1980s, she found herself receiving even more recognition thanks to a string of commercials for Wheat Thins crackers. Her face and voice, often alongside her two sons, promoted the snack, reinforcing her image as the quintessential perky, all-American mom figure. Around 1980, she had married Don Correa, a choreographer and dancer. This third marriage proved to have longevity where her previous ones did not, with the shared language of dance and performance seemingly offering a stronger bedrock. In the late 1980s, Sandy's television profile saw a resurgence. The Hogan Family, a sitcom originally titled Valerie, had been thrown into chaos when lead actress Valerie Harper departed amid contract disputes. Producers needed someone beloved by family audiences to step in and fill the maternal void. Sandy was their choice. She arrived as Aunt Sandy, a relative who takes over the care of the Hogan children following the off-screen death of Harper's character. Despite initial skepticism from viewers, the show thrived, running for 4 more seasons. For younger fans, unaware of her 1970s work, the Hogan Family was the introduction to Sandy's comedic style, warm, slightly self-deprecating, and full of that bright energy that had marked her entire career. All the while, Sandy never strayed too far from the theater. She replaced Twiggy in the 1984 Broadway musical My One and Only, working alongside the legendary dancer-choreographer Tommy Tune. Their collaboration resonated with critics and audiences alike, in large part due to the visual contrast of Tommy Tune's 6-foot-something frame with Sandy's petite form. Yet the pair found sync in tap numbers and comedic set pieces that charmed Broadway crowds. In 1986, she took on the role of Roxy Hart in Chicago, a Candor and Ebb musical that stands in stark contrast to the sweetness often associated with Sandy. Roxy is conniving, vain, and opportunistic, qualities rarely used to describe Sandy's public persona. But she rose to the challenge, demonstrating a capacity for more cynical or morally ambiguous characters. Critics applauded her performance, affirming that elfin charm could be channeled in unexpected ways. No stranger to variety programming, Sandy also guested on numerous talk shows: The Tonight Show, The Flip Wilson Show, Laugh In, The Sonny and Cher Comedy Hour, and was a familiar presence on game shows like Hollywood Squares and What's My Line. For viewers who grew up in that era, her bubbly laugh and quick wit became synonymous with light-hearted TV entertainment. But behind the scenes, she nurtured a philanthropic streak. Losing vision in one eye had deepened her understanding of the challenges faced by people with visual impairments, and she became a volunteer with a nonprofit organization formerly known as Recording for the Blind and Dyslexic, RFB&D, now called Learning Ally. There she contributed by reading aloud educational materials. Sandy also received the National Rehabilitation Hospital Victory Award in recognition of her courage and her advocacy for those facing physical adversity. Aside from her better-known screen appearances, Sandy made numerous cameo roles and special appearances that further expanded her pop cultural impact. In 1976, she guest starred on The Muppet Show, Season 1, Episode 10, an experience that remains a point of nostalgic joy for those who adore Jim Henson's creations. Sharing scenes with Kermit the Frog, Miss Piggy, and Fozzie Bear, Sandy proved adept at comedic banter with puppets, demonstrating that her combination of warmth, musical skill, and spontaneity translated effortlessly to the silly, anything-goes format of The Muppet Show. She also popped up in a 1976 adaptation of Pinocchio, a televised stage-style production wherein she performed alongside other celebrities in telling the classic Carlo Collodi tale. The fact that she kept gravitating toward productions that catered to families and children seemed no coincidence. Her aura of kindness and bright energy made her a perfect fit for projects that aimed to delight younger viewers. While best known for her comedic and musical roles, Sandy occasionally stepped into more dramatic territory on stage. In 2009, she starred in productions of Driving Miss Daisy and the Glass Menagerie, two plays that required her to tap into a more layered form of acting. Driving Miss Daisy, which won the 1988 Pulitzer Prize for Drama, deals with the evolving relationship between an elderly Jewish woman and her African-American chauffeur in mid-20th century Atlanta. The Glass Menagerie, written by Tennessee Williams, is a poignant memory play that delves into family dynamics, illusions, and the fragility of dreams. Although these works differ drastically from the bright musicals that first showcased Sandy's talents, the roles highlighted her dramatic range and desire to explore new theatrical avenues. Around that same period, she popped up in the Law and Order franchise, one of the most ubiquitous presences on network television, playing both a defense attorney and a judge in separate guest appearances. These roles, serious and measured, reminded viewers of her versatility. She was not limited to the persona of the Wheat Thins lady or the playful sprite from Peter Pan. By the early 1990s, the Hogan family ended, but Sandy remained embedded in public memory. Many older fans remembered her from Funny Face, The Sandy Duncan Show, or her star turns on Broadway, while younger ones associated her with the Hogan family, Disney, and those iconic Wheat Thins spots. In the ensuing years, she continued to appear in theatrical productions regionally and on Broadway. In 2008, she took part in the revival of No No Nanette, a high-spirited musical known for its tap routines and roaring 20s flair. The production demanded the kind of effervescence and comedic timing that had always been her specialty, and she delivered in spades, proving that age had done little to diminish her stage magnetism. Meanwhile, the internet era introduced Sandy Duncan to a completely new generation. Clips from Funny Face and The Sandy Duncan Show found their way onto video sharing platforms, allowing curious younger audiences to discover her comedic style. The same phenomenon happened with her Broadway performances. YouTube highlights of her as Peter Pan, or in My One and Only with Tommy Tune, gave theater aficionados an easy way to see what had made her such a sensation decades earlier. Fans began sharing stories online of meeting her after a performance or spotting her in the city, remarking on how gracious and friendly she remained. In addition to her stage and screen work, Sandy maintained a consistent presence in the realms of talk shows and variety programming. She appeared on The Mike Douglas Show, The Merv Griffin Show, and Dinah, among others, where she conversed with hosts about everything from her childhood in Texas to her comedic inspirations. These appearances reinforced her status as a beloved comedic actress and singer who could banter with just about anyone, from seasoned TV hosts to puppets on Sesame Street. Indeed, her cameo on Sesame Street, though brief, delighted parents and children who recognized her from Disney films and Wheat Thins commercials. Although never entirely fixated on pursuing film stardom, Sandy took on occasional movie projects beyond Disney's family comedies. Star-Spangled Girl, 1971, adapted from a Neil Simon play, featured her opposite Tony Roberts and Todd Sussman. She also made an uncredited cameo in various comedic specials. Yet it was clear her primary loves remained television, and especially theater, where she could lean into her triple threat abilities. In interviews, she often described the thrill of performing in front of a live audience as unmatched, feeding off the energy of the crowd, adjusting comedic beats in real time, and feeling a collective shared moment that only live theater can provide. Her Tony nominations total 3, the first in 1969 for Canterbury Tales, Best Featured Actress in a Musical, the second in 1971 for The Boyfriend, Best Featured Actress in a Musical, and the third in 1980 for Peter Pan, Best Actress in a Musical. She also earned 2 Emmy Award nominations, one for her performance in Funny Face in 1972, Outstanding Continued Performance by an Actress in a Leading Role in a Comedy Series, and one in 1977 for Roots, Outstanding Single Performance by a Supporting Actress in a Comedy or Drama Series. She was recognized by the Golden Globes in the early 1970s as well, reflecting the broader industry's acknowledgement that she was a dynamic and appealing personality worthy of critical praise. Besides volunteering at RFB&D, now Learning Ally, she also participated in various Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS events, lending her talents to benefit concerts and fundraisers. Throughout the 2000s, Sandy occasionally graced the stage in touring productions of classic musicals, from Anything Goes to The King and I. On top of that, she co-starred in staged readings or limited engagements, sometimes joining other seasoned Broadway veterans. In 2009, stepping into Driving Miss Daisy and The Glass Menagerie signaled her willingness to broaden her repertoire. Audiences and critics often commented on how seamlessly she navigated the shift from comedic musicals to weighty drama, praising her portrayal of characters who grapple with loneliness, nostalgia, and societal change. Living in New York City with Don Correa, she managed the typical juggling act of a working mother while also fulfilling the requirements of a performer's schedule: late-night shows, weekend matinees, out-of-town tryouts, and occasional touring stints. Her sons, Jeffrey and Michael, occasionally traveled with her, especially when they were young, ensuring that the family could stay connected. That closeness sometimes manifested in creative ways, such as the Wheat Thins commercials that featured her boys, bridging the gap between personal and professional life. With the advent of fan conventions and a renewed cultural interest in nostalgia, especially for 1970s and 1980s television, Sandy occasionally appears at events celebrating classic TV shows, family programming, or Broadway legends. Younger fans, who might first discover her via streaming services that carry the Hogan family or digital archives of Funny Face, have the chance to meet a performer whose career stretches back to the era of variety shows and black and white commercials. Often, these fans are dazzled when they realize the same actress soared as Peter Pan on Broadway, voiced a Disney Fox, and was nominated for multiple Tonys and Emmys. In these gatherings, Sandy projects the same affable presence that defined her comedic persona, greeting fans with humor, sincerity, and a genuine love for the craft of entertaining. In interviews, she speaks about how the entertainment industry has evolved from the star-driven network era of the 1970s to today's streaming-dominated marketplace. She marvels at how quickly information travels online and how social media can make or break a show overnight. Sandy herself doesn't have a massive social media footprint. Her career predated the internet by decades, but she occasionally appears in videos and posts from official theater accounts or from fans who share glimpses of her in cameo performances. Sandy Duncan's remarkable career and unshakable determination make her a true icon in the world of entertainment. From the stage to the screen, she has left an indelible mark on audiences and continues to inspire with her resilience and dedication. If you enjoyed this look into Sandy Duncan's life and legacy, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories about Hollywood's brightest stars. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.